Kevin, a 1-1 draw at the Grove this afternoon against Halesowen Town. Something of a battle, I would say. Not as much quality on show as you would have liked, and a little bit of disappointment that you've maybe not been able to be positive. Well, get those moments you talk about. Just a few of those could perhaps have been the key to getting a victory here.
Yeah, I think when you take the lead like we did, done well, fantastic goal, great finish. And you put them on the back foot, you manage the game really well to half time. They haven't really had any moments and chances in the game that I can recall. They're going to come out and open up quickly in the second half. I thought we were a little bit slow ourselves, coming out of the blocks. One or two players haven't quite, switched on in certain moments and seen that moment out. Nonetheless, it's a great ball in and a real determined header. And I thought through that period, then they got on top a little bit for the next sort of 15-20 minutes, and they could smell the moment and the situation when they're kicking into the home fans like they are. It's tough, but I love it when our players stay together like they have and grow back into the game. And I think we finished the stronger and had the better moments. I think Jimmy's really unlucky that the goal's been ruled out. It's only, I think it's maybe a nick if it is that. Byron's had a little bit of a moment there at the end there that maybe bobbled up a little bit, but I'm really pleased with the togetherness that we show and how we've certainly progressed as a group and as a team. We never really looked in too much danger, and you would look at our goals against record now and looking at that team and teams of previous weeks and scratch your head as to why we've conceded so many goals. Players have gone in there and done fantastic, and the whole group, we look better organised, we look far more resilient than we have been. And yeah, look, you'd like to roll the clock back a little bit, and unfortunately that can't happen now, and we've got to move forward and take a chance in the playoffs.
Sure, it is going to be a playoff contest now. I think we know that it's between Bedford and Kettering for the title now. It's not clearly you wanted to take it to the last day if you could, but I suppose you do at least have the clarity now of knowing pretty much which direction you're headed in as regards those playoffs, and you start to get your head around that.
Yeah, we've got a plan for that now, and speak about the things and the potential outcomes and what we want out of it, and obviously putting the right players in to try and get a result next Saturday as well. But yeah, look, the groups, as I say, we've been on a decent little run lately for a good period, as have Halesowen. They're a tough side with good players and very, very capable. And I think we've pretty much nullified them today and kept them really quiet and haven't allowed things to develop in any situation that I can recall. And we just got to maybe show that extra little bit of quality as we, start to get into their final third and in around those areas. Two closely matched sides. We'll both be, hopeful of a successful playoff campaign.
Sure. It does look very much as if it probably will be Halesowen in the semi-final. I think what might be decided by what happens on the final day is who potentially gets home advantage in that. So you're in that situation of you've been able to have a look at them, of course, but they've been able to have a bit of a look at you as well. So that I wouldn't say cancels one another out, but
look, like as I say, we had narrowly won the game at our place earlier in the season. It's been a really tight affair today, and you could see, the closely matched sides, closely matched players. It's how you regroup and get yourself together and go into it in the hopefully the best form that you possibly can. And both of us would like home advantage, so it's important that they'll be looking to win their final game much the same as we will. A couple of tough games for both of us still. Plenty to play for. It's important, like we do, we regroup, reflect on today, have a look at it and where we've done well and where we've done not so well. And hopefully, like I say, next time we meet, hopefully we can come out on the right side of it.
Sure. You spoke about, the fact that you perhaps wish that you'd been able to find this side earlier in the season. Can't turn the clock back necessarily, but given that it is a playoff campaign, I mean, would you be more confident going into a playoff campaign now than you would have been with the team you had earlier in the season?
You know the answer to that without any shadow of a doubt. I think you look at us and, like I say, there's been a sea change in the goals against that we've conceded. Players have worked really hard to address that situation. We've worked hard as a management team to bring in different players and try to stem the flow of goals against, and hopefully we've done that to some degree. Clearly, there's there are still moments where we've conceded late goals, and certainly away from home, that have allowed opposition to take points away from us. And if there was a slight shift on that front, obviously we could definitely make a case that we should be sat there with more points. But probably most everybody will look back on the season in light of that. Losing the big players that we lost when we did, it's been hard to get over. They are good players, and they're capable players that, fortunately we found other players that have gone in there and to a point of done it nearly equally as well. We've had those hurdles to get over. We have done to a point. You'll always reflect and look back on the season and where we should have done this better and that better, or where we've done well as well. And it's just, again, keeping everything in perspective and making sure that we're together for hopefully what will be an enjoyable playoff campaign.
Sure. It's a 15th game unbeaten. We've spoken previously before that even though that is an impressive record, that perhaps because of the draws in there that the feeling isn't quite as positive as it could be. But perhaps I could suggest that making yourselves harder to beat over this last second half of the season is potentially a good quality to have going into a playoff campaign where games are tight.
Yeah, we certainly couldn't carry on in the vein that we were, and conceding the soft goals that we were. And like I say, we wouldn't be where we are now if we'd have been conceding in the manner that we were conceding in the opening half of the season. And you look at us and totally removed side from from what we saw earlier in the season. We've scored plenty of goals. I think we've only lost probably 6 games all season. That'd be the fewest in the division. So we're not a million miles away from it, but it's a little bit annoying when you know you're so close, and you've been in winning position in many a game and not close it out for the 3 points. And I look back on it, and that slight shift on a positive front would have seen us still challenging for the title, but it's not to be. We have to get over that, get on with it, and like I say, make sure that we're good to go both Saturday and then whenever it is the following Wednesday.
Sure, and amongst all this playoff talk, and I'm conscious that it is me that's taken this in that direction, what we mustn't do is be disrespectful of Halesowen Town on Saturday, because they have shown they're a capable side. They came pretty close to beating us earlier in the year when a couple of late goals that got a point. And again, given that that there is potentially home advantage to play for, and they're going to be able to play with a little bit of freedom. Well, there is still something there for you, isn't there? You got to aim for.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't down tools and think we're just preparing for as nice as it would be and resting players. We're not really at that point in that position. But I saw Royston play on Saturday, and they're really unlucky not to take something from the game at Kettering. It was a mistake by the goalkeeper that ended up dividing the two teams, and Kettering's had a little bit of fortune on the day. Royston would argue they probably had the better chances in the game, and there was nothing between the two sides. It was a difficult surface to play on, but they're big, strong, physical side. They've got some footballing ability within the group, and they're a strong outfit, and one we certainly won't be underestimating. As I say, I've seen them firsthand. Very, very capable, but so are we. It's about players stepping up to it and understanding what it takes and getting through it and winning the game. That's what it will take. That's what we'll be aiming to do, and hopefully we can do that.
Kevin, we appreciate your time as always.
Thank you.